Rodeo is a sport where less than 20 seconds determines if you're a world champion or not. For some, it's even less than 8 seconds. That's rodeo, and that's what I'm here to discuss today. And during my presentation, we'll be discussing the events through the PRCA, the WPRA, and the NFR, which includes barrel racing, tie-down roping, saddle bronc, team roping, bareback riding, steer wrestling, and bull riding. All together, they come together to form the National Finals Rodeo, which I will discuss later in the presentation. And then finally, we'll be discussing quarter horses, the main mount of rodeo. The events. For the Professional Rodeo Cowboy Association, or the PRCA, there are 6 main events. For women, there's the Women's Professional Rodeo Association with 1 event, and that's barrel racing. These are the events listed under the Wrangler National Finals Rodeo, which we will discuss further into the presentation. Barrel racing is the lone women's sport in the National Finals Rodeo. It's a timed event, meaning the ultimate goal is to go as fast as possible. The rider and horse run in a cloverleaf pattern, starting either to the right or to the left, based on how well they run. Once they turn all 3 barrels, they head for home to cross the timer again for the timer to stop, and the rider with the fastest time wins. There are many organizations, age divisions, and groups around the world that allow riders to compete in barrel racing, down from little kids all the way up to the professionals. Tie-down roping is the second event. It's also a timed event, as speed is the name of the game. Tie-down roping involves a rider mounted on horseback, starting in a holding area. In the same holding area, a calf is released from the holding area, the cowboy chases it down and tries to rope it. Once roped, the cowboy dismounts and runs to the calf while the horse keeps the rope tight. The cowboy must then tie 3 of the calf's legs together, and it must stay tied for 5 seconds. After the 5 seconds ends, the calf is released and the cowboy hopes he has the fastest time of the event. Team roping. Team roping is the only rodeo sport that involves more than 1 person. 2 people are mounted on horseback and held in a holding area. The calf is also in the holding area again, and once it is released, the 2 cowboys chase after it. Once the first cowboy ropes the head of the calf, it must turn the calf so that the second cowboy can rope the 2 hind legs. Once both ropes are secure around the calf, the cowboys must turn their horses to face each other, and that's when the timer stops. The fastest time in this event wins. There are penalties for missing the calf, and there are also penalties for roping 1 leg instead of 2. Saddle bronc. Saddle bronc is the first event that's considered a rough stock event, and it's not timed. Riders must mount a horse, called a bronc, with a saddle. The horse wears a halter and a long rope to reach the cowboy's hand. The horse is held in a bucking chute until the cowboy is set and ready to go. Once the cowboy nods his head and acknowledges he's ready, the chute opens and the horse explodes out of it. The cowboy must stay on for 8 seconds through the horse bucking throughout the pen. Once the 8 seconds is over, the cowboy jumps off. So it is timed for the 8 seconds, but it's really a judged event. So once you stay on for the 8 seconds, it all goes down to the judging. There's 45 points given to the horse based on how well it bucks and how hard it bucks, and the other 45 points comes from how well the cowboy rides it. The perfect ride would be 90 points. Bareback riding is very similar to saddle bronc, except there is no saddle. The rider still needs to hold on for 8 seconds, and it's still judged 45 points and 45 points. The horse does not have a halter and rope to hold on to. The cowboy only gets a small leather handle that is tethered around the horse's stomach. Steer wrestling is another timed event. Riders are mounted on horseback. A small steer is released from the chute, and the cowboy takes off after it. Once his horse is running next to the steer, the cowboy must try to do a flying dismount and wrestle the steer to the ground. The cowboy to do this the quickest is the winner. Lastly, and probably the most popular rodeo sport, is bull riding. It's considered another rough stock event, not timed. The bull is held in a chute until the cowboy is mounted and nods his head, signifying he is ready to go. The chute is opened and the bull comes out bucking. The cowboy has a leather handle to hold onto that is wrapped around the bull's stomach. Once the rider stays on for 8 seconds, it goes to judging. The judging is the same as saddle bronc and bareback riding. 45 points goes to how well the bull bucks, and 45 points goes to how well the cowboy anticipates the bull's moves and how well it rides it. 90 points is a perfect ride. The championship. Everyone's main goal is to end up at the NFR, or the National Finals Rodeo. So if you're a cowboy, a part of the Professional Rodeo Cowboy Association, or a cowgirl in the Women's Professional Rodeo Association, that is your goal. Qualifying is based on how much a cowboy or cowgirl earns through the year at designated rodeos. The top 15 riders in the world are the ones that qualify for the NFR that takes place in December every year. The National Finals Rodeo, or the NFR, consists of 10 rounds ranging over 10 days. The winner of each event is the rider who earns the most money. They still count your earnings from the previous year, so coming in with a lot of earnings is a huge advantage. Despite this, the NFR pays out enough money that leaders can be overtaken by someone who does better just those 10 nights. At the end of the 10 rounds, the rider in each event with the most money is crowned the world champion. And last but not least, the quarter horses. They are the heart of rodeo. Without them, we wouldn't have rodeo. They're the main mount of all rodeo contestants. The quarter horse was named for their racing history. When used as racehorses, they only ran a quarter of a mile, thus the quarter horse. They are bred to be quick on their feet, stocky, and well-built. Every year, each event also crowns a Horse of the Year, which is a huge honor for the horse's owner, trainer, breeder, and rider. The Professional Rodeo Cowboy Association and the Women's Professional Rodeo Association come together to put on different rodeos throughout the country. These rodeos all consist of 6 different events. Through the year, riders try to earn as much money as possible to qualify for the National Finals Rodeo, where they can be crowned a world champion. The quarter horse is the main mount for all rodeo contestants, and each horse has a chance to be crowned Horse of the Year. Thank you for watching my presentation today.